Hey guys, Plonkerboy900 here and welcome back to a brand new challenge video. A few weeks ago I did a randomized starter only run. This was a nice change of pace for me and I really enjoyed doing the run. And you guys said you wanted to see more. So call me Postman Pat because I'm about to deliver. So today we'll be asking the question, can you beat a randomized Fire Red with only your starter Pokemon? The rules are exactly the same as last time, but there is one more twist. As with before, I can only use my starter Pokemon, which has been randomized along with all the trainers' Pokemon. This means that every single battle we don't know what to expect. As always, I'm allowed to use HM users when I need them, but only outside of battle, and no items in battle allowed either. The twist this time though, is that once Pokemon hit a certain level, which is roughly level 40, they'll always be fully evolved. This means that the later fights, such as the final gym leaders and the Elite Four, will all have fully evolved teams. This means that the final battles won't be so anticlimactic like they were last time. Before we get started, shout out goes to these people who found the dabbing Delibird in the last video. So comment down below if you see him and you might get featured in the next video. That's basically all I've got to cover, so let's get on with the challenge. I start the game picking the male character this time and call him Tenma. As always, comment down below if you get the reference. As always, we name our rivals Wigo because we're better, and the run begins. Alright, it's time to see what our starters can be. Our choices are Gligar, Phanpy, or Ivysaur. Now, after thinking long and hard about this, I decided to go with Gligar. Ivysaur is already part of a starter line, and I think Phanpy would be quite boring to watch, as we'd basically just be using Rollout on everything. Gligar's not an amazing Pokemon, but it does have a good type combo, but our only starting move is Poison Sting, so the early game could be kinda tough. We face off against Wigo where we lose just because Poison Sting is so weak, so there was really no chance of us winning. Things didn't get much easier though, as in Viridian Forest a random bug catcher has a Mewtwo. Somehow we managed to defeat it though, and we can make our way through Viridian Forest. Except we can't get all the way through without losing to this one bug catcher who has a Crobat. It's resistant to our Poison Sting and it's our only attacking move, so yeah, we lost. I was going to need to do some grinding and we're not even at the first gym yet. I try again at level 19, where we just about managed to brute force our way to victory, and finally arrive in Pewter City. Before facing Brock though, the one gym trainer has a Rayquaza. Seriously, this has not been a good run so far. Much to my surprise though, we actually managed to beat it, and we finally get to face Brock. He starts off with a Delcatty, which isn't too scary. We've learnt Quick Attack now, which is really nice, and it's enough to 3-hit KO, and we don't even take damage. His final Pokemon is a Noctowl, so I just lower its accuracy with a Sand Attack, and then just start spamming Quick Attacks. We get hit a few times, but we take it out no problem, winning the first badge, which was a lot easier than the gym trainer. We also get the TM for Rock Tomb, which is definitely something I want to teach to Gligar. Anything is better than Poison Sting and Quick Attack. We make our way through Mount Moon, where I pick the Helix fossil. Something comment anyway, something YouTube algorithm. We arrive in Cerulean City and take on the second gym leader Misty. She starts off with a Zwigo. I lower its accuracy with Sand Attack a couple of times, and then just take it out with a few feint attacks, and his water guns really don't do too much. We managed to take it out and we still got 35 health remaining, and her last Pokemon is Vileplume. I go for Rock Tomb, which does decent damage as she misses a Stun Spore. I then just go for a Sand Attack and then a Quick Attack, which does decent damage as well, but we do get paralyzed the next turn. I don't think this thing has an attacking move though, as it just then keeps spamming Aromatherapy, so we can just slowly whittle it down with Quick Attack until we eventually get the win. That was a weird fight. We face off against Zwigo once again on the Nugget Bridge, and he starts the fight off with a Steelix. Not the best of starts. Thankfully, Feint Attack is a special move in this game, and Steelix's special defense isn't great, so we do slowly whittle it down and we don't even take that much damage ourselves. Next up is Crobat, which isn't as much of a problem as it used to be as we have Rock Tomb now, and it almost takes it out in one hit, but he just survives with a sliver of health, and confuses us with a Supersonic. We do end up hitting ourselves the next turn, but his Astonish doesn't do much damage at all, and we can take it out with a Quick Attack the next turn. Next up is Cinderquil, but it can't take a single Rock Tomb, so it's down to his starter Ivysaur. I lower his accuracy again as he misses the Sleep Powder, and then just keep hitting Rock Tombs until eventually it goes down. That was a kinda close fight, not gonna lie. We meet with Bill and get the SS ticket, and beat this Team Rocket Grunt who gives us the TM for Dig. This is definitely something I want. A ground type stab move is brilliant, and it should see us through until we get Earthquake. While on the SSM we take on Zwigo once again, but his team really hasn't changed that much, and we learnt the move Slash, which is going to be really useful going forward. We beat him easily and move on to the third gym leader, Lieutenant Surge. This wasn't that difficult of a fight. First up is a Lotad who goes down in one slash, and next up is Croconaw. Slash is nearly a one shot and his water gun really doesn't do much damage at all, so even with him healing with a super potion we can just take it out in 2 more slashes. His final Pokemon is a Ghastly and we have Feint Attack, so it's an easy one shot. That was definitely the easiest gym fight so far. On the way to Celadon City we get the TM for Aerial Ace. This is 100% something I want Gligar to learn. It's another stab move and it can never miss, so it's going to be really useful going forward. I decided to replace Feint Attack as our special attack really isn't that good, and we've got plenty of coverage now as well. That's not the only new move we're going to learn though. While travelling through Rock Tunnel we find the move tutor for Rock Slide, which is definitely something we want as well. It's a direct upgrade over Rock Tomb pretty much. We now arrive in Celadon City where we take on the 4th gym leader Erica. This wasn't the most difficult gym fight either. First up is a Remoraid who goes down in 1 Aerial Ace, and next up is Anorith who also goes down in 1 hit. Her final Pokemon is a Skarmory though, which could cause some problems, but we have the Rock Slide which does decent damage. She does boost her speed with agility, but a couple more Rock Slides are all we need to get the KO, and we win the 4th badge. Thankfully we're quite over leveled by this point, so this wasn't really a problem. We face off against Giovanni in the game corner, but this was another easy fight. First up is Seadra who takes 2 Aerial Aces to go down, but he does get the poison on us with his ability. We take it out no problem though, and next up is Bagon who just goes down in 1 hit, and his final Pokemon is a Cleffa. Once again it goes down in 1 hit and we win. With that we make our way to the Lavender Tower where we face Zwigo once again. First up is Slowbro and we get a lucky critical hit right off the bat for the one shot, but next up is Kyogre.
No! God, please, no! No!
I thought this was terrifying, but I just go for Aerial Ace and it's enough to one shot. Well, that was anticlimactic. Next up is Sunkern, literally the weakest Pokemon in the game, so obviously it goes down in 1 hit, and next up is Venusaur who goes down in 1 hit as well. His last Pokemon is a Magby, but he can't take an Aerial Ace either. We do get burned, but that was his final Pokemon, so we win. Zwigo, you trash. We now arrive in Fuchsia City where we can take on the 5th gym leader Koga. This was another pretty easy fight. He starts off with a Numel who's weak to Dig, so it goes down in 1 hit no problem, and next up is Snorunt who would have been a problem if it managed to attack, but it doesn't, it goes down in 1 hit to Rock Slide. Next up is Oddish, but it can't take an Aerial Ace, and it's down to his final Pokemon already, which is a Cradily. This thing is actually quite bulky as it takes an Aerial Ace no problem, but it just goes for Acid for hardly any damage whatsoever, and a second Aerial Ace brings it down to KO range as we get confused. We do hit ourselves in confusion, but the next turn we land another Aerial Ace and it goes down. I'll be honest, most of these gym fights have been really easy so far. We take down Team Rocket in the Silphco building where we're challenged yet again by Zwigo. First up is Goldeen who just goes down in 1 critical hit Aerial Ace, and next up is Jolteon who can't really do any damage to us, and goes down in 1 dig. Next up is a Wobbuffet which I thought would be an easy one shot, but it survives no problem and takes us out in 1 hit with a counter. The very next attempt though goes much better. I go for Dig this time, which makes him go for Safeguard instead, and then Aerial Ace is enough to finish it off from there. Next up is Spinder who just about survives an Aerial Ace, but his Psybeam hardly does anything, and one more's enough to take it out, and now it's down to his final Pokemon Venusaur. I wasn't expecting it to survive an Aerial Ace, but it actually does, but he just goes for Sleep Powder. We actually wake up really quick though, and just take it out with one more Aerial Ace for the win. We face off against Giovanni once again, but this fight wasn't too bad either. First up is Gyarados, so I go for Rock Slide for about half its health, and he just goes for Twister, which hardly does anything. We take it out with one more Rock Slide, and next up is Poliwag, who actually survives an Aerial Ace. Once again, he just goes for a weak move though in Double Slap, and we can take it out the next turn. Flareon's up next, but just hits a Quick Attack, and then we can just KO with a super effective Dig. We're now down to his final Pokemon Starmie, who, despite confusing us and hitting us with a lot of weak moves, goes down in a couple of slashes, winning us the fight. The next victim on our list is Sabrina. First up is Surskit, which is laughably bad. It goes down in 1 Aerial Ace, and next up is Makuhita, who's also weak to Aerial Ace, so it also goes down in 1 shot. Next up is Banette, but not even that can survive an Aerial Ace, and it's down to our last Pokemon, Groudon.
Well, oh for fuck's sake.
I go for the Aerial Ace, which predictably doesn't do much damage at all, as she starts setting up bulk ups as if this could get even worse. I know that I'm going to need to get a critical hit to win this, so I go for Slash, but it doesn't crit, and she goes for a Slash of her own. I managed to bring it all the way down to red health, but then she fully heals with a hyper potion. We can't take it out before we go down ourselves, so I try again. This time things go much better as we get a critical hit Aerial Ace for the KO. See, all we needed was a little bit of luck. Crawdon goes down and we win ourselves the 6th badge. Let's jump straight forward to the 7th Gym Leader Blaine. He starts off with a Cradilly, so I just go for the Aerial Ace, which does under half, but he just goes for Amnesia. I don't have any special moves, so this isn't really a problem, so I go for Slash to make sure he doesn't heal, and then just take it out with an Aerial Ace the next turn. Next up is Electro, but we have the super effective Dig, which is an easy one-shot, and next up is Combusken, who can't take an Aerial Ace, so we're now down to his final Pokemon, Flygon. I go for the Aerial Ace once again, which does 50%, as he just decides to go for Screech. This means we can just go for one more for the KO, and that's 7 badges down already. There's just one gym fight left to do, and that's the 8th Gym Leader Giovanni. He starts off with a Primeape who's weak to Aerial Ace, so it goes down in one hit, and next up is another level 42 Cradilly. Odd. We've gained a couple of levels since then, so Aerial Ace is enough for a 2-shot now, and once again he just goes for Amnesia instead of attacking. Nidoking is up next but can't take a single dig, even without that critical hit. And next up is a Metagross, which is actually kind of terrifying. I go for the dig though, as once again it is super effective, and it does huge damage. We do get slowed down by Scary Face, but that's not a problem as one more dig takes it out, and we're now down to his final Pokemon, which is a Jolteon. This doesn't pose any sort of threat to me whatsoever, as we just go for the dig and get another one-shot. Even though we had a fully evolved team, this was another easy gym fight, we didn't even take a single point of damage. I guess Gligar's actually better than I expected. Upon beating Giovanni, we get the TM for Earthquake, which is definitely something I want Gligar to learn. I replaced Dig as it's just better in every single way, and now we've got basically our final moveset. Before we can take on the Elite Four, there is one more fight with Zwigo. He starts off with an Ariados, so I just go for the Aerial Ace for the easy one-shot, and next up is Jinx, but it can't take a single Rock Slide. Next up is Kingler, who takes huge damage from Earthquake, and just goes for a weak Stomp, so we can take it out with an Aerial Ace the next turn. Minun is weak to Earthquake, so obviously it goes down in one hit, and next up is Roselia, who can't take a single Aerial Ace. We're already down to his final Pokemon Venusaur, so I just go for another Aerial Ace, which does really good damage, and he just goes for growth instead of attacking, so one more's enough to take it out, and we beat Zwigo for the second to last time. We've now arrived at the Pokemon League, so let's take a look at our stats. We're currently level 66, which isn't much higher than the Champions team, and we've got some decent stats. Our attack, defense and speed in particular are all really good, and we've got ourselves a good moveset. Keep in mind though our ability is Sandveil, which ups our evasion in a sandstorm. We may be needing that later. Alright, it's time for the Elite Four. First up is Lorelei, and remember all of these Pokemon are going to be fully evolved now. She starts off with a Huntail, so I go straight for Earthquake, which does over half and she actually misses the Scary Face. This means we can take it out with one more, and next up is Rapidash, who can't take one Earthquake. Next up is Arcanine though, who has Intimidate, so I go for Rock Slide as it hits a weak Extreme Speed, and then we take a second one and finish it off with an Earthquake. Next up is Crobat, who hits a weak Air Cutter as we go for a Rock Slide, which does just under half. I decide to go for Slash, but we get confused by a Confuse Ray, but we still hit, and we get a critical hit, which is actually enough to take it out. That was really lucky. Lorelei's final Pokemon is an Altaria, which sets up a couple of Dragon Dances, as we finally hit a Rock Slide after hitting ourselves in Confusion, but it doesn't even do half. Luckily though, she doesn't have any physical moves and instead goes for Dragon Breath, and we hit one more Rock Slide which brings it into KO range, but she heals up with a Citrus Berry. This actually takes it out of healing range though, which is actually a good thing, and as she just goes for a Perish Song, we can just take it out with one more Rock Slide. Altaria goes down and we've already beaten the first member of the Elite Four. Next up is Bruno. He also starts off with a Huntail, so I do the same thing, but this time we do get our speed lowered before we can take it out with 2 Earthquakes. Next up is Kingdra though, who outspeeds us and does huge damage with the Hydro Pump. Not only that, Earthquake isn't a one-shot, and we go down the next turn to a Water Gun. This is definitely doable though. I try again at level 68, and this time we don't get our speed lowered, as I go for an Aerial Ace, as he sets up an Agility. Now he's faster anyway and hits another Hydro Pump, but we take it out with an Earthquake. We now grow to level 69.
LOL.
And next up is a Rayquaza. Thankfully though, this wasn't really a problem. I go for Rock Slide, which does about 50%, and we get the flinch. This means we can just take it out with one more. We definitely dodged a bullet there. But we're not allowed off this ride just yet. Next up is another legendary, Ho-Oh. This thing's 4 times weak to rock though, and we're faster, so it actually just goes down in one hit. We're now down to his final Pokemon, which is a Golem. Obviously we outspeed and go for an Earthquake, which he just survives, and goes for Rollout and gets a critical hit, but we just hang on. That was insanely close. We just finish it off with an Aerial Ace, and that's Bruno down, but man, that was a really rough fight. Next up is Agatha though, who was somehow even worse. Her first Pokemon's a Nidoking, which is no problem whatsoever, it just goes down in one Earthquake, but she has a Kyogre. I go for the Earthquake, which only does about half, and we get taken out in one hit from a Hydro Pump. This is looking kinda bleak. I tried this fight numerous times, and I quite quickly realised I was gonna need a different strategy, so I replaced Slash with Sandstorm. Not only does this get rid of Kyogre's Drizzle, but it also activates our ability, so now we're harder to hit and Kyogre's water moves aren't doing as much damage. I try again and set up the Sandstorm, as she does miss the Hydro Pump. This turn I go for Earthquake, which does good damage once again, but we get hit with an Ice Beam instead. Obviously it's enough to one-shot, so this plan isn't quite foolproof. I keep trying though, and eventually we get the run, where everything just falls into place. She misses the Hydro Pump the first turn, as I go for an Earthquake to do some good damage, and then she misses the Ice Beam. This means we can finally take it out with an Aerial Ace. Thank God that thing's out the way. The rest of her team wasn't really a problem though. First up is Beautifly, who goes down in a single Aerial Ace, and next up is Grumpig, who takes huge damage from Earthquake and misses the Psychic. It does eat a Citrus Berry, but it just goes down to an Aerial Ace the next turn, and it's down to her final Pokemon, which is yet another Golem. I go for our last Earthquake, which is just enough to KO, and we finally beat Agatha. That fight was no joke. The final member of the Elite Four is Lance, who starts off with a Mantine. I go straight for the Rock Slide, which doesn't quite take it out, as we're hit with a decently powerful Water Pulse. He does fully heal, but a combination of Aerial Ace and Rock Slide are just enough to take it out, and we don't even take that much damage. Next up is Flygon, so I just go for the Aerial Ace, which doesn't do too much, but neither does his Dragon Breath. I go for Rock Slide this time so he won't heal up, and then just take it out with one more Aerial Ace from there. Next up is Wobbuffet, so I decide this is the perfect time to set up my Sandstorm. He just sets up a Safeguard, so I decide to go for Earthquake as it's my most powerful move. And it does over half as he goes for counter, but it misses, thank Arceus. This means one more Earthquake's enough to take it out, and next up is Better Swampert. Once again, Earthquake does over half as he just goes for a Future Sight, so we can take it out with one more, and it's down to his final Pokemon, which is an Electabuzz. I was really happy about this as well, as we can just outspeed and go for an Earthquake for the KO. And that's Lance dealt with. All that stands between us and victory now is the champion's Wiggo. His first Pokemon is a Clefable, which doesn't really worry me. I go for the Earthquake, which does well over half, and his Double Slap hardly does any damage at all. I finish it off with an Aerial Ace, and next up is Crawdon. This thing could deal serious damage with a super effective water move, but after surviving an Earthquake he just sets up a Swords Dance. He does fully heal with a full restore, but that's fine as an Aerial Ace and an Earthquake combo were enough to take it out. Next up is Salamance though, and this thing was a real pain. It lowers our attack with Intimidate for a start, but this thing is really dangerous. I decide to set up the Sandstorm just to be safe, but he lowers our speed with a Scary Face, and as you can see our Rock Slide really doesn't do that much. We're slower so we can't flinch, and unfortunately we get paralysed and taken out before we can take it out ourselves. This thing seriously caused me some issues. I'm not exaggerating here, it took about 45 minutes to beat this thing, but we finally got a good run. I go straight for the Sandstorm where he actually misses the Scary Face, and then we actually get a lucky critical hit Aerial Ace, so we take it out before we even take damage. Next up is Magmar, who just can't survive a single Earthquake, and next up is Apom, who does deal some damage with Swift, but it can't take 2 Earthquakes, so it's down to his final Pokemon Venusaur. I go straight for the Aerial Ace, but because of the Intimidate it doesn't even do half, but he just goes for Sweet Scent instead of attacking. He does heal up with a Citrus Berry, so I go for a Rock Slide to make sure he doesn't heal up, and we take a Razor Leaf pretty well. We can now just outspeed and finish it off with an Aerial Ace, and that's it. Venusaur goes down and we've beaten the champion, and beat a randomized Pokemon Fire Red using only our starter Pokemon. This was another really entertaining run for me to play through. Gligar actually ended up being much better than I ever expected it to be. It just had a really good moveset, a good ability, and great stats as well. This was definitely one of the easier challenges I've ever done, but I've got to say the Elite Four really did give me a run for my money. I'm glad that I decided to forcefully evolve Pokemon towards the end of the run, as to be honest, the Charmander run was really easy because of that one thing. A champion having a Silcoon, for example, just doesn't really work. In my opinion, the way that I did things this time was much better, so if I do another one of these runs, then expect this rule to be in place as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider leaving a like, and comment down below with what challenge I should take on next. If I pick your idea, you'll get a shout out in the next video. Also, thank you so much for the support over the last few videos. We're approaching 20,000 subscribers. I really hope to get that by the end of the year, so if you're not subscribed and you really enjoyed this video, then please consider hitting that button. It would really mean so much to me. By the time this video comes out, I probably would have started my new job, so hopefully I'm keeping the balance between work and YouTube decently intact. Obviously I won't have as much time now, but I definitely want to keep up the videos as much as I possibly can. This is my passion after all, and I really don't want to let you guys down. You're the reason I make these videos in the first place, so it's the least I can do. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, then all the links you need will be in the description below, alongside the link to the Discord where you can chat to me and other fans if you want to. I hope to see you all there. That's all I've got for you today, so thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.